What is the biggest problem affecting your PDR business? What is the one thing holding you back from taking the next step? What do you need to change to get the business growth you want? All these questions have the same answer. It's your mindset. My name is Corey Kleinfeld, and this is the PDR Coach Podcast, where I coach you on mindset around yourself and your PDR business. Now let's get started. Welcome back to the PDR Coach Podcast. Today on the podcast, he needs no introduction, and we will learn more about him as the podcast goes. But welcome to the show, Zan. No last name.
Hey.
I can't even say Tanzi or Tani, so I'm just going to go Zan, and you can tell everybody your last name correctly for me.
All right. So my last name is Vidic. It's hard to pronounce it, but thanks for having me on, Corey.
Yeah, thanks for spending the time. I appreciate it. We've never really officially met. I mean, maybe we've met, quick handshake at an MTE or something, but never spent any time talking. So this will be our first conversation, which I've done several times on podcasts, and they always turn out great. So thanks for spending the time. How I start every podcast, because I'm so curious, and I've had a lot of people tell me that they like this question. How did you find this weird little niche of PDR?
So yeah, that's an interesting story. So basically, I started almost right out of high school, and immediately, because my mother is an accountant, and she was working as an accountant in a PDR company in my country. And even before, when I was in high school, I did some summer work for them, dropping headliners. And as soon as I got out of high school, my mom said, "Hey, come here. They will employ you, and you will learn, because this is good business to be in."
Mm-hmm. She knew the numbers.
Yeah. Of course, accountants know the numbers. So she's like, "Yeah, you got to do this." And I'm like, "Okay, how much will they pay me? You know?" And she say, probably the starting is going to be the minimum salary, because you need to learn first.
Yeah.
And I was like, dumb, and I was like, nah, I'm worth more than that. So I went doing other stuff at the start. So I didn't get directly into the first opportunity. So I jumped around from a few jobs. Like, I started as a used car salesman for a month, and they kicked me out. I went to a store like Aldi. It's basically the same store, just it's called different here. It's called Hofer. So I was there for 3 months, and they say, "No, you're not good. Get out." And then I went to a warehouse to stock to fill the pallets when stores order. They get the orders, and I was basically stocking pallets for them. And I was there a month and a half. And then this company, they called me to do for the weekend to do some R&I for them on the one project. And at that point, I started to thinking, like, seriously getting into PDR. And when I was there doing R&I, I just looked at the PDR guys about how they work, not how they push dents exactly, but how their day is, work day, how their work life is and work day. And if I can be a part of that, if I can see myself in it. So that's awesome. After that weekend, I called my mom. I say, "Hey, do you think I can still get a job there?" She said she called the boss, and I went to him to drink a beer with him. That was basically our interview. He was like, "Yeah, if you're as hardworking as your mother, you're more many times." So I started there.
That's awesome. Okay, a couple questions. So to define real quick, hopefully I don't get this wrong. You're in Slovenia, right? Is that the country?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
awesome.
Slovenia.
Awesome. So you said they were going to pay you the minimum salary. What is that? Just out of curiosity.
At that time, the minimum salary was, I think, 700 euros, which would be like $900 per month.
$900 a month. What year was this?
This was in 2008, September of 2008.
Okay. So not too long ago, really.
Yeah. And then on top of that, but that is that's what you get. It's no more taxes on this amount.
Right.
That's how it works here.
For
and
sure.
On top of that, you get some gas money and food money, but that's
Yeah,
probably about $200-300 more a month.
Totally. So it's interesting that you say, your mom's like, hey, come work at this place. She does she sees the numbers of what these techs make, how much the companies make, and she's like, Zan can do this for sure. What can you go back to 2008 and figure out? Because we all, as men, as we all seem to have some sort of ego about us, that we all have to learn to put into check over time. Why do you have any handle on why you thought you were worth more than the minimum wage and then, or the minimum salary? And then also, do you know why you thought that? And then when you work those other jobs at the Aldi type store, were you getting paid more than that?
Yeah, I was getting paid a little bit more, not a lot, but
a couple bucks.
Yeah. But like I said, that was like a stupid decision, because what I know now, is that at the start of your career, you don't work for money, you work to learn.
100%.
So even if you're making zero, if you're learning a high paid skill or whatever, something business minded that will help you in the business or whatever, it's worth it a lot.
Yeah.
So
I think that's really hard
for then.
Yeah. I think it's really hard because I had the same thought. So most people know my story, but I left working. My dad started a company in 1991, worked for him for several years, left to go get a real job, quote unquote, not a blue collar job, which is like what we call it here in the US, where it's basically like working with your hands essentially. So I left. It's probably the same thing over there. And I ended up coming back, but same thing is in my mind, I had an ego about doing that as a career. And I had to learn the hard way too. And I think for you and I, it was a little easier. Mine was more like 2000. Let's see, I left in 2009, actually. So about the same time, but man, I feel like it was easier because social media wasn't a thing, to come back and have the perspective of just learning for learning's sake and not for money. And I feel like newer guys starting out know how much hail guys can make, know how much a solid retail tech can make, and that they charge $1,000 for dance, all this stuff, and they're starting out. And it's really hard for them to put that time and effort in the beginning because they know how much money they can make. Any advice for them living in the world we live in now, because they know how much money they can potentially make, how they put their head down and just get better?
I think it's just a mindset. You need to convince yourself that the first 2 years you're going to be pushing for nothing. Just say it that, like, risk 2 years. Of course you're going to make something. I don't mean work for free, but just if you put it in your head that, look, if I make $10, I make $10, and just work as much as you can. Like, if there is a big tent, take your time on it. Don't look at it and say, oh, I should be making it in 4 hours, because
I've seen this other person do it
just
in this amount more. Of time. They all go through their
head. Just keep. Don't worry about how much time you spend and how much money you get. Charge correctly, of course, but when you convert it per hour, how much you get for the dent, don't worry about that.
The per hour you need to stay away from. Try to get the same dollar rate, and if it takes you 3 days to fix it, so be it.
I didn't try to say don't undercharge. Just spend the time needed, even if it's 3 days, like you said.
So I've asked this to a few other people, and I have a lot of newer techs that follow me and listen to my podcast and things like that. What's your opinion on doing retail repair, for even though if you can't make it perfect? Obviously, coming from you who can obviously do amazing repairs, you've won dent competitions and things like that. You weren't always like that. When do you start doing retail and charging those prices, even though you can't make it perfect? What's your opinion on that? It's a tough one.
My opinion is that it all comes down to how you present it to the customer, and if the customer is happy at the end, because at the end we are all in it to make money. And of course we like it. We like the job. We like to. It's a good feeling when you fix a dent and the metal is flat again and everything. But at the end, you're working for money because you need to feed yourself and your family or whoever. And if you convey to the customer correctly beforehand, if you say even if it's a dent, like maybe you and me can fix, and somebody doesn't know, he knows he can't fix it 100%. If he's open in front and says, look, I can probably get it to 80%. Maybe he gets it to 85, 90. The customer will be happy. He's happy. I think that's a fair transition.
I totally agree with you. Yeah. I think a couple of things that I've said many, many times is set the expectation. A legitimate PDR business, or any business really, is setting the expectation of what the customer can receive, and then fulfilling that expectation. That's a fair transaction. So yeah, a lot of my customers now, I charge really high prices and I tell them it's going to be perfect, and that's what they expect, and that's what I deliver, and we're good. But if you can't do that, tell them what they can expect, give them the price. Yes. And if everybody agrees, everybody's happy. So it's not about being perfect 100% of the time. And quite frankly, I don't even do all dents perfect all the time. There's plenty of times where I say, I can't do that. But here's what I can do, and here's what it would cost. And if we agree, then we're happy. It's just, I think it's good when people hear it from more other people, because they always think like the other person always does perfect repairs for high dollar and always has, but they forget that, and I never knew that you didn't even want to necessarily be in PDR. And now, 10 years later, you're doing, great work.
Yeah. I don't think there is like a person that does everything 100%. I mean, in every repair, I bet you can find a flaw if you go looking for it.
Yeah, for sure.
Unless they really spend a crazy amount of time, and it's basically not worth it at the end.
Yeah.
When you put it on the light and you know how to look, you're gonna find something.
Yeah. So let's go back to the PDR journey. So you did a couple other things because PDR was like, finally came back to do it.
Yep.
Your mom convinced you. She got you a job. How did it go from there? Did you start training? Did you go on hailstorms? What did that look like?
So yeah, basically this company is mainly it's just doing hail damage repairs. And they hired me to start as a R&I guy. And they say they will provide training in the off season, that they will bring a PDR guy that will train us and everything. And we were about 4 guys employed at that time to go the same way, basically. So I started doing R&I for some Brazilian guys working on a storm here in Slovenia. And I was watching them fix the dents. And every time they would have a hood for replace, I would basically borrow their tools and start pushing and start training by myself, just using the neon, the lights on the ceiling,
Yep.
Just reflection of those lights, because I didn't have any of my tools yet.
Yep.
So that's how I started. Basically, I wanted to be ready as soon as I can. And basically that training that they promised never came.
I've heard that story before.
In the winter time, in the off season, they got us they got us a set of tools, old hood, some hood stand, and the really old lights. And they here, learn yourself.
Oh man! So how many nights did you spend late at night?
There was no late at night nights. I think really good thing. I mean, the good thing here was that I was being paid to train. So that's how I was paid to come every day when there was no R&I work. I came every day. I did my 9 to 5 job, and I just trained in the time. And it took me. I think in May 2010, it was the first car I fixed by myself. The first hail car.
A couple years.
Yes, a year and almost 2 years.
Yeah,
a little less. But I was doing R&I between, and basically I was doing it by myself, learning by myself. There was no one pointing me in the right direction or anything. I was just observing other people and copying.
Yeah, that's what I did too. I mean, my dad, I just soaked it up for my dad, watched him hack some stuff up, and then he'd fix it. And then I would just over and over and over again until I just kind of figured out how to do it. I'm still figuring out how to do it. That's the funny thing.
Yeah.
Are you still working for that company?
No.
Okay.
In 2010 in the summer, we had a meeting of all of the guys that we were training, and the boss say, "Hey, we ran out of money. You're all fired."
Oh, what? Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
So basically, all of the other guys,
including your mom.
She went. Yeah, she went away later, like a few months after me.
Wow.
Or a year, I think, but they say like, you all go, you're open your own company and you can be a subcontractor for us. Mm-hmm. And basically all of them were like scared. I was the only one. My first question was,
are you going to pay me?
Also, no. I was hoping to be on the good side because my mother was still there. So
yeah, true.
So my first question was if we can also work for other companies or get our own deals as well. That was my first question. All the other guys with me there were a bit afraid of losing a job. I was actually happy, but with that being said, I was way youngest there. I had no family, nothing.
Yeah, no kids.
It's much. I was in a much different position than they were.
Yeah. So you were excited to go start your own business. So how did that work out? Was it you could fix some at least you got trained enough so you can fix some stuff? That's
great. And plus I got them to provide me for work. I knew that I will have some work. So it started like just a few hail cars here and there because it was winter. It's coming to a winter, so we did few hail cars just to pay expenses and get some extra money. I was making actually more than I was on a salary, so it was good. And working less.
Yeah, there you go. Make more, work less. Not a bad deal.
Yeah. Then next year the season came because we mainly do hailstones here. Mm-hmm. And when the next season came in 2011, I worked for that company the whole summer, and they owed me at the end of the summer. They owed me, I think it was 10,000 euros, and they didn't pay, so I had to go the legal way to get my money.
Did it work?
Yeah, it worked.
Yeah.
It took 2 years, I guess. I think 2 or 3 years. Jeez. It took a long time. But from that point on, I was basically out on my own to find my own work and everything.
Yeah, for sure. So you basically trained yourself essentially, and a little bit of help probably from some guys standing nearby. If you were to do it today, knowing what we know now with a bunch of trainers and stuff, would you recommend someone just absorb it themselves over a 2-year period, or would you say go find a trainer or a combo? I guess it has to be a combo, but
I would say depends on what they want, because if and what they can afford. I mean, not everybody can afford the training.
Yeah,
of course, the best training for me personally, I think it's go for 3-4 weeks of training, then do it by yourself, and because practice and go again to that same trainer to finish what you started basically. Then the learning starts, but
for sure.
But because not everybody can afford, so I mean,
it's $5,000 to $20,000. It's a lot. For sure.
Yeah. So if you can maybe start by yourself. I mean, but the entry, if you want to start by yourself, is so much higher. So I mean, so much difficult to enter by yourself.
Yeah, I will say basically
you don't know what you're doing, and
right, 100%. You're either going to spend time or money learning. So if you spend money, it should reduce that time down from a 2-year period because someone's going to show you. If you don't have money, then you got to spend time, which is, if you're older, in late 20s, early 30s or mid 30s or whatever, and you have a family and kids, then you work your day job and you fix 3 hours of dents at night. People have done that. That's how people start other businesses. Like you do that for 6-8 months until you feel comfortable enough, or a year. But that may be the way to do it. So either spend money or spend the time. Those are the two choices.
I mean, this, like, imagine if you go from Chicago to New York, let's say, and if you're gonna learn by yourself, it's equal if you would walk the road. If you do some kind of online training with YouTube or with real world PDR and or dent trainer, it's gonna something be like driving with a car. If you go in person training, it's gonna be like flying there.
Dude, that's a great analogy. I love that. Yeah. That's true.
It is.
I like it. That's awesome.
It's also cost and time included.
100%. I totally agree with that. That's awesome. So at this point now, are you still mostly doing hail, or are you do retail? Okay. You do retail stuff too?
We have also retail hail, and we do retail dents, but it's not a lot. Mainly, I would say I do 95% of the hail. Also, big smashes here, they don't get paid a lot. You know, I can't charge as much as you can in the States.
That's just a different from where you live, or Europe in general, or what do you
Slovenia
specifically?
Yeah. Like if you go to Germany, the prices, because everybody here, the mentality is still comparing to painting, you know, and I can get a panel painted for 150 euros.
Wow.
Yeah, so you're trying to convince someone to fix his smashed door for 300. It's
yeah, that's tough. Yeah.
I
mean, there's a few people that value their paint, factory paint, but not a ton. So most of the stuff that you're doing is under an insurance type of hail situation.
Yeah.
Is that the biggest difference you think between where you are in the US or some parts of Europe over the US? I think most parts of the US you can do a lot of high dollar retail. I know there's a lot of like some spots where in every city, there's always going to be someone that can paint a panel for cheap, you know, for $250 US dollars. But a real body shop that's going to do a high quality repair is not ever that cheap. And I guess that's a question. Is that is that like a high end body shop there that's going to do an amazing work for $150 in Slovenia?
No, but it's not going to be a much bigger difference. I mean, even if you increase 100% from 150, you're still at 300. You know?
Yeah.
It's not.
It's still difficult.
Huge. Yeah.
That's fascinating. So, man, that's interesting. So what other differences do you know of between, like, big differences between European and US? Because that's interesting to me that there's probably a big part of the world that's like that. That's not like US dent repair, where there's just really inexpensive painting labor.
Yeah. And I still think that the US is the best for PDR, the best market probably, because also look in Europe, it's good. It's good. Germany, France, Austria, all those have higher prices. But here is the catch. I drive like hour and a half and I'm across the border in Austria and I can get higher prices. But everybody there speaks German. I can't speak German. And then there's different insurances there, different procedures, the whole different system. So this is the big barrier. You can go chase for another company there. That's not a problem because they will organize everything. But if you want to go there by yourself, it's a language barrier, because Europe is, I don't know how many different languages, you know?
A lot.
All the big markets, their own language. And now it's easier. Now it's also, but it's not a big factor. It's just a difference. Before you go to a different country, you need to, your phone is going to be super expensive now because you're roaming, you know, and everything is going to be super expensive. But now,
it's a different country.
Now this European Union has all the phones now. Basically, if you're staying in the European Union, it's basically the same as you're in home. But that was also a difference before.
Interesting.
Yeah, but
Damn,
my
that is fascinating.
main difference is just the language barrier and the whole different system. I can't go just, let's say now I want to chase hail directly for me and just go to Austria, and maybe I would get a deal, but it's much easier to just go work for another company that does PDR, and the big company that you can trust, just work for them.
And like a cultural difference too, right? I mean, it's not even just the language too. It's like, and we see there's a little bit of that in the US, with like the South versus like the Northeast. Like there's a little bit of a cultural difference there. But I imagine it's significantly different from Austria to Slovenia, just a whole different just whole different culture. So even if you spoke the language, it doesn't necessarily mean that you would fit in and get the deal compared to the other dude taking care of their own type of thing.
And I'm still a different nationality when I get there,
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You drive 20 hours if you chase in the States and, hey, I'm American. Oh yeah.
Welcome, yeah, exactly. You know I mean? Yeah. No, totally.
I drive somewhere like, who's this fucking Slovenian?
Yeah. Really? Is that you feel like that a little bit?
No, it's not like that. I'm just kidding.
But, you feel like that going into there, they're like out of place a little bit, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not like that, but some people are nationalists and they don't like other nationalities.
For sure.
Then some people gonna say like, oh, look at them coming, stealing our work and stuff like this,
Totally.
I'm not like that personally. I'm not like that, but it happens.
But there's a lot of people that are. There's a lot of people that are.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's crazy. Have you been to the States to fix dents?
Yeah, I've been once or twice.
Yeah. Is it
long time ago though?
Is it better money? How does it differ?
Yeah, it's better money, and the main thing is your hail season starts usually in March, April, while ours starts in June or July, depends. So if I can, I would try to catch those 2 months, month and a half.
That's pretty cool. So how did you? I feel like if people know you, it's probably from dent competitions. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, or YouTube.
Or YouTube,
mainly from dent competitions, probably. Yeah.
Your YouTube videos are great, by the way. They're funny.
Thanks. Thanks. I appreciate it.
I know a lot. I don't do a lot of YouTube because of the amount of work it takes. So I have mad respect for people who put out a 4-minute YouTube video, because I look at them like, this took fucking 5 hours to shoot, edit, all that stuff. So I enjoy them when I see them. When did you start wanting to compete in these dent competitions, and why?
So first was in Germany. I think it was probably 5-6 years ago. And I saw that competition. It was the first one I saw actually in Germany. It was the first expo I've been to. And I was thinking, hey, next year maybe I can go. And then next year I thought, oh yeah, I'm the shit, I will own this. And I came there, and of course, you know what happened. I didn't even place.
Dude, that's good to hear though. I feel like for people, because I think you've won multiple now. I don't know how many, but several, maybe a couple in a row. I think you did that one with Bryce Kelly and won that tag team and stuff. And so the first one that you did, no one knew who you were. You didn't place.
No.
It wasn't even close. That's good for people to know.
So then,
but you kept doing it.
Yeah. Actually, I stopped. I say, oh, screw this.
You got that ego. That ego came back again, right? Like you got punched.
I'm like, no, screw this. So I stopped for I think a year or 2 years. Then I went back to Germany, and I think I got because Germany competition goes on for 2 days, and it's first day you do a qualifying round, and the top 6 qualify, and then on the second day the top 6 all start and at the same time.
Yeah.
So I did that one. The second time I did it, I actually went to the finals. I qualified to the final round, and of course when I did the final round, and at the present, like when they are announcing the top 6, I was standing there like, please don't let it be 6, please don't let it be 6. And they're like, number 6, Zan. I'm like,
Oh yeah.
Because in my head I'm last, you know.
Yeah. Even though you beat all the other guys.
Yes.
No, I know.
I was like,
Yeah.
no, I'm last. No, just not the last, please, not the last place. And like 6 from Slovenia. I'm like, oh no.
That's me, damn it. Did you compete in anything as a younger, like high school, college? Did you play sports or anything? Are you competitive person?
Basketball. Basketball. And I'm very competitive because of that, probably.
Yeah.
Too much, too competitive.
Yeah, there's a good balance.
I hate myself for this sometimes.
For being too competitive?
Yes.
I mean, there's a
pros and
upside
cons.
and a downside. Yeah, pros and cons, because because you're competitive, you went the first time, failed, took a shot, took a couple years off, right? It hurt, and then you went back, got a little better, but kind of failed in your eyes because the last of the second round of people. But the competition, and that's why ego is a good thing too, because we need an ego, but you need the humility as well. And so you have to have a little bit of an ego to, compete in something like that, or even to start a podcast, or to, like in my case, coach people and tell, like, hey, I learn from my experience. Here's what I can offer you. But then the humility side is like, you can always be learning and always be getting better too. So it's a combination of those two. But so second try, you went from wherever you were before to 6th place, which is still pretty good. And you kept going, obviously.
Yeah, I think after that I went to the PDR World Cup.
Yeah.
Or was it was PDR World Cup after that. That's the first time I won a competition.
Mm-hmm. How was that?
Then amazing.
Yeah. You're like, not 6. Don't say 6. Don't say 6th. Yeah, and then you're like, no.
The show was a smaller competition because it was the first year as well. Mm-hmm. But was good.
But there was still really happy with the result. Killer techs though competing. Smaller show, but the guys competing were still amazing technicians. Yeah. So that's awesome. What year was that? Do you know when you won the World Cup for the first time?
I think the first one was 18.
18, yeah. I was gonna say 17 or 18.
And then the second one was 19.
Were you doing YouTube videos before that?
No. Okay. No. I started after.
So winning the first World Cup in 18 put you on the map, I guess is an expression, right? Yeah. How did that change the way you saw yourself in PDR, the way other people saw you, the opportunities it created for you to maybe partner with some other people in the industry and do things? Anything? How did that change?
I think that that competition and other things as well got me an opportunity to be a speaker at the Advanced Skills Seminar in 2019. So that was also a big honor for me. And I also was able to compete there at the Advanced Skills Seminar. They had the Tournament of Champions. And because I won that one, I was able to compete at that one as well.
Nice.
So
that's awesome.
That was also fun. I was not supposed to be there. There was supposed to be 4 MTE winners. And I didn't won MTE before. So, but one guy didn't show up. So they 10 minutes before, Keith came to me and was like, hey, are you ready? I'm like, ready for what? They're like, yeah, you're competing.
The Dent Olympics?
No, the Tournament of Champions is they called it at the Advanced Skills Seminars.
Gotcha. And so someone didn't show up and you got their spot?
Yeah. That was basically 4 spots.
That's funny. I competed in the Dent trials in Las Vegas, and I think you were signed up, but then didn't come for obvious reasons. So I may have gotten your spot.
Yeah.
or one of us did. But yeah, that was a bummer. Just because you couldn't fly and go home, it would have been quarantines and all these things probably.
No, not that. But the USA was not allowing anyone to enter.
Gotcha. You couldn't even come at that time.
No, I couldn't even
come.
And
that was only 2 months ago. Was it?
They
just said no. Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So yeah.
So anyways, I think getting asked to speak at the advanced skills, that's where ego, this is where like pushing forward and being competitive and ego makes a difference, because probably, I know there's other things that you did, but had you not done those other things and competed many times over a span of 5 years in dent competitions, Keith and Shane may not have known of you to be able to invite you, right?
Yeah.
And there are so many good technicians, businessmen, people with ideas, all that stuff out there that don't want to say anything. They don't want to make YouTube videos. They don't want to start a podcast. They don't want to come on a pod. They don't want to do any of that stuff because they feel like it's too egotistical, because they look at other people and be like, why are they doing that? That's like, what do they know? I know more than that. And that's awesome. But you got to tell people that. You got to show people that in order for those opportunities to open up for you. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah. But it's also how you perceive things. Maybe we, like you're doing a podcast, I'm doing YouTube. Maybe we can say that we find a better person, and they are not doing it, and maybe we can say that their ego they have big ego because they're not wanting to share their knowledge. You know?
Yeah. That's
so,
true.
I mean, it goes both ways.
You're right. I don't think I've thought about it that way, but for me, I want them to like share and contribute to the industry and show us new things and all that type of stuff, because you never know how that affects it. Like if you these little decisions in life make a big difference. If you decided on your first competition that you lost and you took 2 years off, right? Because you were like, why should I do this again? I don't want to lose. I hate that feeling. I'm very competitive. And you never did it again. We wouldn't know who you are potentially.
Yeah.
And we wouldn't get the value that you bring to the industry. And that makes me, I guess, sad or upset or something, that there's so many guys out there that have stuff to offer to the industry, but they're not, you know?
Yeah.
And so partially because either one, it's a conscious decision not to, or the more likely one is that they're too scared to put themselves out there.
Yeah.
That's more likely.
We are all different people, you know, different mentality, different personality. So that's what makes us wonderful, right? For sure.
So how do you decide to put yourself out there again and again, whether when you lost and then recompeted and then got sixth and then recompeted? What goes through your mind on like continuing to do that? Do you have any advice for people who are too scared to compete in the Olympics or to do anything else?
What's your thought? Well, it's not about, well, I wanted to achieve my goal. You know, I set a goal and I wanted to achieve it. And when you achieve that goal, give yourself a higher goal. Maybe if you want to compete and you never did and you're afraid, maybe your first goal can be, hey, I need to compete. That can be a first goal. Even if you're last, you reach your first goal. Your first goal doesn't have to be, I want to win, you know? Just give yourself a goal. It shouldn't be probably. Yeah. Just give yourself a goal. Like, look, I just want to get out there and push that dent out. And the next year you can do it better. I'm sure you can do it better next year. The more time you go, the better you will be.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And I totally agree with that. I think there's a lot of people, because I competed in the dent trials for the first time because I did the same thing that a lot of other people did. Like, oh, I should do that. And then I'm like, it comes around. I'm like, I don't want to spend $100 or $150. And like find all these reasons to talk myself out of it or whatever. I finally competed. And when I'm there, other people are like, oh, I can never do that. I can never do that. I'm like, you absolutely can. You may not place because you're not, maybe you don't feel like you're good enough or whatever, but you never know. Like you got to put yourself in those situations and see what happens. And if you get dead last place, it's a learning experience. It's going to hurt. It's going to hurt the ego a little bit, especially if you're a competitive person, but the amount that you learn in those high pressure situations is tenfold than fixing a dent in a door on a dealership lot. It just is, and so I would encourage people to put themselves in those uncomfortable situations. I have not been that nervous fixing a dent. I've not been that nervous fixing a dent in many, many years than I was at the dent trials. Cause like all the people standing around, like I remember the first time I fixed a retail dent at someone's house, black Mercedes, kind of tough dent in a door. This was like in 2007 before I quit and came back. So nervous. Dude was standing there like this, arms folded, just watching, and you know how that is, right?
Yeah, of course.
But I haven't been that nervous since then. And I'm like going up to fix a dent in front of a bunch of other dent guys. Man, you learn a lot though. Like all your senses are heightened and you're like focused more than you ever focused on a dent before in your life. It's pretty fun.
Yeah.
Pretty funny.
Yeah.
You feel the same way?
Everybody is nervous probably, and not comfortable under pressure, but more times you do it, the better you get at it and you improve yourself. I mean, as a person, even if not as a dent guy, as a person, also like you said with your speaking, you did your also speaking in Vegas, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you didn't want to speak for a while, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you did it once. Now you grew as a person.
Yes, I did. Yeah.
And the next time it's going to be easier to speak for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so, dude, that's very true though. And that
the same goes for the competing.
You're 100% right. Like even if you don't win the competition or fix the best end of your life or whatever, you'll grow as a person. And that's really what we're all here to try to do, is grow ourselves and hopefully get better at dents, hopefully make more money, maybe be a better husband or a better father or whatever. But all that requires growth and trying new things and putting yourself in difficult situations over and over. That's awesome. I'm glad we agree on that. I meant to ask this question earlier, just because I'm curious when I was talking about differences between, I'm going to like go like flip-flop back and forth, but is there a lot of wholesale like dealership work that happens in Slovenia or European countries, or what's your take on that? You said retail, not so much.
Yeah, I mean, there is the majority is hail jobs. Jobs is the majority, and we do also hail jobs at the body shops and dealerships.
Gotcha.
That's the majority of our business.
Interesting. Okay.
We do have one bigger retail wholesale client, but we don't have huge dealers like you have in the States, that has 1,000 car inventory,
Mm-hmm.
Here,
no one has 1,000 cars anymore.
300. No, yeah, right now, no, but you know what I mean, though.
Yeah, I do. I understand.
Here, so do you like 300 is the most probably.
Interesting. How big is your, like, if you drove like 30, or let's say an hour, a lot of dent guys will drive an hour around where you live. How many people live there? Like, what's the population?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Is it like 50,000 or like a million? I don't know.
No, I don't know. I don't know, honestly. But let's say we have a shop in the capital, which is in the center of Slovenia, basically, almost in the middle. And if you drive maximum 2 hours any direction, you are out of the country, because we are a small country.
Okay, gotcha.
and we have a population of 2 million people, the whole country.
Gotcha. Okay.
So if you drive north, 1 hour, you're in Austria. If you drive south, in 1 hour, you're in Croatia. Then if you drive to the east, to the furthest east you can go, it's 2 hours. You hit Hungary. And if you drive to the west, 1 hour, and you are the seaside.
I'm looking now. Yeah, so that's a large area. Is it Logitech? Is that where you?
Yes, that's my hometown. Yeah, okay. I mean my hometown. It's where I live. So it's about 30 minutes from the shop in Ljubljana. We have a shop in Ljubljana.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I see it right in the center, basically, of Slovenia, essentially right in the center. Yeah. And the entire country is 2 million people. Yeah. So I would I think just the city of Sacramento is over 2 million people. so significant. I mean, these are the type of things though, when you listen to a podcast or a business book or something where you're trying to learn how to establish a business or how to run a business or ideas, you have to take that information and make it work for your area, because where I live, or even someone in the States, completely different than where you live. And so talking about wholesale pricing or high dollar retail dent repair pretty much doesn't apply to you for the most part. A little bit, but not a lot.
Yeah, it does a little bit. Yeah, it does.
That's fascinating. Well, that's interesting. Okay, so I'm gonna go deeper. What the dealership that has 300 cars, is someone there fixing the cars for X dollar per car, or they don't fix them unless they get hailed on?
We have. I mean, there are probably a few dealers with 300 cars. Probably, we are at one of them. Then we are fixing that cars.
You do okay. So there is.
But this is an exception at the moment. Maybe in a few years' time it will change. But this is one of the dealers that because here we import a lot of cars in Slovenia.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because they're cheaper to buy in Germany or France or someplace. Import them, and they're selling used cars like that. So this dealer, every car that imports, gets it completely perfect. They want all the dents fixed, even all the plastic interior, everything they change. If it's a scratch, they will change it. And they're setting a high standard for themselves, and they want all the dents fixed. But they're the exception at the moment. Of course, other dealers want some dents fixed, but you get some that say, "Oh, just get me the bigger dents out. Don't touch that." But those are everywhere. I mean, even in the States, I bet you have those dealers.
For sure.
So
100%.
The biggest obstacle for everyone, not just in Slovenia, also everywhere, is to find dealers that want to take the care of their cars they're selling, and they want high quality for themselves, and that you can provide them with that.
Yeah. And I feel like that starts with the customers wanting that, though. Do you agree?
Yes.
I feel like in America, cars are very special, especially in some states, like southern states and even California. Man, cars mean a lot to people, like a lot. Do you find that is there a number of people in Slovenia that like cars really matter to them, like the image of the vehicle? Is that the same?
Yes. The mentality here is like that. Like people want their cars nice, and they want them to be from Germany most of the time.
Yeah, for sure. Like, I can see that.
All these BMWs, Mercedes.
Yeah, for sure.
But here's the thing, like they still perceive new paint a better repair, you know?
Yeah, that's fascinating. Yeah. So it all starts with the customer. Like if every customer, this will never happen, but we can live in a fantasy world. If the customers went to the dealerships and said like, why isn't this car perfect? I don't want to buy it. The dealership would fix the cars. Right.
Of course.
And if the customer said like, oh, I don't really want it to get it repainted because I'd rather have it not repainted, then more people would get PDR done. So it really starts with the customers. And that's always been our biggest problem in the industry in the United States, that most people don't even know that this is an option. I feel like if you could sit down and talk to every person and say, hey, here's what a repaint is, here's what it does, Bondo on the vehicle or filler or whatever, here's what we do, everybody would pick paintless dent repair. But how do you educate the population? I don't even know. It's a lot of money. Yeah. I can tell you that, or time. I don't know, but that's the fascinating thing about PDR, is that it's so much better, but so unknown, I guess.
Yeah, but you also have some other factors like stone chips on the hood, and then people will say, I want to paint it, and then you're out.
Yep, that's true.
On that repair, just because they have some chips. That you can do a touch up, but
yeah,
it all depends on the customer, like you said.
Yeah, 100%. Okay, so you started with the hail company, went through there. You got your own business now, doing majority hail, a little bit of other stuff, competing in dent competitions when you're allowed to travel. What else are you doing? I feel like I've seen your name come around in some other business. I think you had some educational stuff before MTEs before, right? Like with Dave Streen or something.
Dave Streen organized the PDR competition training that we did.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. But now after New Year, I'm planning to open also a PDR training center here in Slovenia for the European market. Yeah.
Breaking news. Wow.
Yes.
That's awesome. I think you're very well set up for that.
Yeah, because we have our own shop, we have everything we need, and probably gonna even offer tools with that as well.
Mm-hmm. That's really cool. And I did a podcast series that I haven't released yet. That's coming, but it's all recorded, but it's basically all the trainers in the US. Not all of the trainers, because everybody's a trainer, kind of, but the training schools or training academies, the ones that train people every single week for the most part. There was 11 of them in the whole US. I don't know how many there are in Europe. I never went down that road, but are there a lot of options, or are there very few? Because I see people asking in some Facebook forums.
Yeah, I mean there are a few good options in the UK, and I saw in the UK, and I saw a few options in Europe as well, but those are cheaper options, and I don't know how they are. Can't say, don't know. So
yeah. How do you think Bryce Kelly started training recently?
Yes.
After let's say making a name for himself. Fair to say, Bryce Kelly is very much using the example of what PDR is capable of doing. Right.
Yep.
And you know, Bryce, you competed with him. I'm sure you know him. I don't know if you've talked to him about training or whatever, but
we talked about.
Yeah. So again, unknown to you, you started competing in dent competitions and won a few, failed, then won a few of them, and now this has potentially led you to being able to open up a training facility. And if you put your name on that training facility, the likelihood that it is successful is a lot higher than if no one knew who you were.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
I mean, who doesn't want to learn how to fix dents from the however many 5-time dent competition winner? Yeah. It's five or four or something, right? A few of them.
Well, I won 2 PDR World Cups, 1 MTE plus MTE tag team. That's 4. And that's basically unofficial one, the Tournament of Champions at the Advanced Skills Seminar. That's 5. Then a few second places as well.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, that's the thing. Like, that's why we push ourselves. That's why we get ourselves into uncomfortable situations. Because you didn't know that when you started competing in these, that it would lead you to opening a training facility.
Exactly.
Right? But these steps change you as a person. They help you grow. They help you see yourself and your place in the industry from a different perspective. And then you start looking like, okay, how can I help other people? And it leads to this. So I'm excited for that. I think that's awesome that you're doing that. And it sounds like a good compliment to, having the shop and the hailstorms and all that stuff in between. So that's cool, man.
Yeah. Thank you. For you. Appreciate it. I appreciate it. Thanks, man. Yeah. Like you said, one thing leads to another, just you don't know where you end up, but as long as your head is in the mentality of improving, you're going to end up in a good spot.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Just always improving. You got any other things planned coming out? Any stuff you're doing before MTEs, if you're able to do that? Are you going to keep competing in the competitions? What's your plans?
I think I want to keep competing, of course.
Yeah.
I just got started, basically.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you did. You really did. Are you going to be in Florida?
I sincerely hope so. I have a plan to get there. We will see now if there is news going on that the US will open borders at the start of this next month. So if US opens borders, I'm there.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. I'm excited.
My plan is to be in Vegas. Nice.
I know. I saw your name on the list.
But the thing, I want to go back to the thing you say, that there are some guys out there that are better than we. They're probably better at some stuff, and I'm sure there is someone out there that can kick our asses in every competition or anything, you know. But maybe it's just not in their nature to come and compete, you know.
That's true.
But I believe that there's a bunch of great techs that we have never even heard of. Around.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Yeah, around the world, the US, in Europe, wherever. And man, I have a hard maybe it's unfair of me to think this way, but I have a hard time. I have a hard time thinking that I know there's amazing techs out there, and it's like not, quote unquote, not in their nature to compete and to put themselves out there and show that. But I don't think it's in anyone's. It's very few people's nature to put themselves in situations where the likelihood of them failing is very high. Right?
Yeah, because nobody wants to be uncomfortable. That's the main human nature. When we all want to be comfortable.
Yeah,
and we don't want to move out of the comfort zone.
Yes,
but
I
think you stay the same when you're in the comfort zone.
Yeah, I don't
think
you're
out of the comfort. Sorry, go ahead.
No. I totally agree with you. But to go back to what you said, I don't think it's in my human nature to compete in a dent Olympics, or to put myself out there and host a podcast, or to put myself out there and speak in front of a group of my peers who, quite frankly, it matters what they think about me, whether I admit that or not. It just does. if you don't agree with that, you're lying to yourself, that you don't care how other people perceive you. But I don't think it's our human nature to do that. And so
no.
If you are listening to the podcast, and there's hundreds of you that do, that I don't know who you are, I would challenge you to say, if you're using the excuse that it's not in your human nature to go compete at one of these dent Olympics, I would try it and go see if you can beat John. I'm going to try. I might fail, but I'm going to try. I got second place in Vegas because you weren't there. I might have got third. So I got to go.
Yeah.
But that's my challenge.
I don't think it's probably, like you said, I agree 100% that it's also not in our human nature to go out of the comfort zone. But I think it's maybe a drive inside of us, a want or a need for something more, you know, for something else, something different, you know.
I agree with that. Yeah. And if I could figure out the formula for where that came from, then I would change the world. But there's no single formula with that. So
to formula for what came from, for your motivation,
to create a drive inside you to change and be better.
Well, right? I listened to a really, really good book, and that's the theory inside. It says that it comes from your dark side, and everyone has a dark side. It doesn't mean that you have bad intentions, you know, but maybe your dark side, and you have it, and it's just for you, and you don't want to say it to no one. But let's say, let's take an example. Tiger Woods, he had a dark side. His dark side was sleeping with other women, you know, and maybe that's the thing that drives you, you know. Maybe your dark side is, it doesn't have to be bad, you know. Maybe your dark side is, I want to be rich, you know. But you don't want to say it to no one, you know. You don't want to go out and just I want to be rich, but you go to that place in your head when you're down and you don't want to work, or you just go to that dark side, that place, you think about it, you're lost there for 5 minutes, but you come back motivated, you know, because you think about what you want. You know what I mean?
What was this book, Winning?
Relentless. From
Tim Grover. Tim Grover's other book.
yes.
It sounded like Tim Grover. He just released a new one called Winning.
I haven't got to that one yet, but Relentless is a great book.
I haven't read Relentless yet. it's on my list to read. Does he make the case in there that you need to embrace your dark side in order to change the world? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
What about, does he say openly and like outwardly, like tell people about it?
No,
or no, okay.
no, because to go back to the Tiger Woods case,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
As soon as his dark side came out on the open,
he failed.
He went completely. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he shut down.
So, still hasn't recovered.
Yes. Yeah.
He's won a couple things, I guess, but fascinating. Yeah. Well,
when there is a light, when the dark side comes out on the light to the light, it goes bad, they say.
Interesting.
But the main thing that he says is that you need to be aware of your dark side. You need to know how to channel it,
mm-hmm.
but you need to know how to control it. Not to get to become an idiot, basically.
Yeah. Not even necessarily to, maybe act on your dark side the way it wants you to, like Tiger Woods's specific scenario. Can you channel that energy into winning, right? Or if you want to be filthy rich or a billionaire or something, can you channel that into providing so much value in the marketplace that's the natural course of things, is people throw money at you, right? So how do you take that dark side and turn it into good things? I don't know.
Yeah.
Good book recommendation. Tim Grover was basically the coach / trainer of Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan. I don't know, a lot of others.
Dwayne Wade.
Yeah, a couple good players.
And bunch of others.
Yeah, bunch of others. Yeah. But what's interesting, going back to what we talked about in Tim Grover's book, Winning, he said there was Michael Jordan, from our perspective, best NBA player to ever play the game. Maybe LeBron James, Kobe Bryant changed that, but at that time, for sure, hands down, no question, Michael Jordan, best ever. Tim Grover specifically said, actually, it was in the podcast interview with Ed Milet, I believe. There were people that were naturally more gifted than Michael Jordan, hands down, like not even close, and Kobe Bryant, way better, but they didn't put themselves out there or put in the work necessary to be as good.
Yeah.
So
that books of Tim Grover are great. So I recommend everybody to go and listen to them
for sure.
Or all right, last question.
Yeah, I agree. And listen to him on interviews too. But last question, where do you see the future of PDR going? And I would ask you worldwide, or maybe even in Europe. Do we just get started? Or are things going to change? Are things going to get worse? Are they going to make cars out of plastic again? What's your thought on the future of PDR in our industry?
I think more aluminum cars.
Yeah.
In Europe, we still don't have a lot of them, though. You have the Ford F-150s and stuff like that, that are whole cars aluminum. Here, still not a lot of them. Mainly hoods, if we get some fenders, and occasionally some aluminum doors.
Yeah.
I don't think they're gonna go to plastic. It's just I don't think so, no. But are
we gonna grow as an industry or shrink?
I think we're gonna grow and change. I think there are gonna be more dent guys. I think we're gonna need to find a way to step above the crowd of dent guys, to stand out, to get the business. Retail, I'm talking about.
Yeah. Do you think retail will grow in your area, in the areas that it's currently 5% of your business over time?
Yeah. I mean,
retail PDR.
Yeah, I mean, it's in everyone's interest to grow. It's in our interest, of course. We have more work. It's in customers' interest if they know about it, all the benefits. It's better for them. And plus, it's also in the insurance companies' interest.
Sure. Yeah.
Cheaper, maybe a bit cheaper, repair, faster turnaround, happier customers.
Yep. 100%.
So it's a win-win-win. So I think, it's going to grow. It's just like you say, how to educate all the customers. That's the big problem.
Yeah, it takes everybody. I mean, I do my part, you do your part, other people are doing their part, and it takes the industry as a bunch of individual businesses to try to change the way the industry is seen. And I think more professionalism, more making yourself look like a legitimate business and not just a guy with some tools that fixes stuff for cash on the side. But you have to start making that distinction. And I think we're moving that direction, but it takes more people jumping on board with creating legitimate businesses for it to change.
I think as the number of PDR techs out there grows, as well, the awareness of what PDR can do in the clients must grow for all of us to have work all the time. I mean,
yeah, agreed.
If a million of people knows what is PDR and there is 10,000 techs to work that million cars, it's not a good number. If that 10,000 go to 20,000, it's even worse. But if that million people go to 10 million people that want to use PDR, then we are all good, right?
I totally agree with you. And it's like the chicken and the egg. I think it's the competition that brings the customers in, not the other way around. For the last 30 years, my dad started in 91. He would walk into a dealership and they'd be like, bullshit, you can't do that. Like, you have to paint it. And he's like, no, let me show you. And it was bad PDR. Like, it was bad PDR back then. But it was way better than sending it to the shop. It wasn't perfect, but it was good. It was good. It was flattish, especially in the early 90s. But he could walk into a dealer and get it. And now, so not every dealer knew. And then more dent guys came. Now every dealer, every body shop knows that PDR exists. Mission accomplished. Retail side, no. That's because we're short so many technicians. If there was like 20 more retail quality technicians in Sacramento, it would hurt at first because there'd be so much competition, but we would all be creative in our own different ways because that's what competition in the free market does. And we would all find more customers to serve our business. Competition breeds innovation in the fact that you would find more ways to get customers. And so that's what we need. We probably need more techs, more competition, more of that difficult feeling. So we go find more customers. That's how I feel about it. Even though it sucks, but it's inevitable. There's a guy that moves to Sacramento every 3 or 4 months that does retail PDR. So
nobody wants to say it out loud, like, hey, I want 2 more competitors here. Everybody go out. I'm gonna be the only dent guy here. That's what everybody wants. That's not the reality, though.
It's not possible.
You
can't serve every customer, period. Like, it doesn't matter, even if you want. But take yourself out of your business perspective and look, if you were like the dictator of the PDR industry, and you got to choose what you would do, you'd be like, oh, we need way more technicians here. 2 million people in just Sacramento alone. If you fixed, if you fixed 100,000 cars a year, which is not even close to possible, it's more like 4,000, right? You need 20 retail PDR techs, and there's probably 10. So if you fix 5,000 cars a piece physically with your own hands, you need like hundreds of technicians. So and we have like 10. So
there's a lot of stuff that's getting painted right now that could be PDR.
Yeah, 100%. Well, dude, I appreciate you coming on, spending the time. It's nighttime over there, right? It's like 9 o'clock or something.
No, not that bad. I think. Let me see.
7 o'clock. I forget.
Yeah, 7
o'clock.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for spending time with me. And I appreciate it. Hopefully we can actually chat and meet in person in Florida if we get our act together and open up the world a little bit.
Sure. Let's grab a beer.
I'm down. Good to talk to you.
You too, man. Thank you for having me. And if anybody want to reach out, find me on Facebook, YouTube, wherever. I'm ready to chat with anyone that wants to reach out. Always willing to help.
I totally agree with you on that. And if you are listening in Europe, because I have several people listening in Europe, and if you want to get training, Zan's the guy, right?
Thank you.
When does that start?
Yep. Right now we're still very busy with the hail we had.
Yeah.
But when we do it, it's gonna be another dent guy with me, another technician. We're gonna do it together, and we want to do it the right way. We don't want to rush anything. and just to do it, to grab the money, but we want to do it the right way. So I think probably February, March, somewhere like that.
Awesome, dude. Can't wait to hear more about it.
We'll
talk soon.
All right. Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the PDR Coach Podcast. If you got any value from this podcast and want to do something for me, then the best way to do that is to subscribe to the podcast and give me a rating and review. If you want to know more about me, then you can find me on Instagram by searching for the PDR Coach, or find me on my website at coachcoryk.com, CORYK.com. Thank you for listening, and I'll be back next week.